We've got tips and recipes for healthy living. So for fun and inspiration, come and join us in the raw food world.
Welcome, everybody. This is Matt Monarch with the Raw Food World TV show, and today is January 17th, and it is Saturday, which means Raw Spirit Saturday. Woohoo! I think 50 people last week attempted to go raw after they heard the spiritual benefits of this type of diet. Now, when most people go raw, they don't feel well. They get sick. They're not doing well. And they're like, what's going on here? The doctors say, oh, you're doing, they believe the doctors because they feel really badly, and this is like a good way for them to say, take advantage and say this is not a good thing for someone to do. From all the years and years of poor eating, and actually, scratch that, all the generations and generations, our ancestors and their ancestors, about all these years of poor eating, when we start to go on a 100% raw food diet, we're bringing our bodies back to the way it used to be thousands of years ago. So what happens is we go through a major detoxification. Now, I want to explain a couple concepts. The more you leave out of your diet completely, without exception, the more you're going to cleanse and detoxify. Detoxification is the most misunderstood concept in the entire health foods movement. So the more you leave out of your diet, the more you're going to cleanse on a cellular level, and the more endogenous poisons you're going to release. For example, the most cleansing thing that anybody can do is a water fast, because you're eliminating everything from your diet except for water. Now, an intermediate diet, you're eliminating a lot of foods, but you're not going to cleanse as much as if you were to eliminate everything. Now, a 100% raw food diet, you're eliminating everything from your diet except for the most water-rich foods, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. And you're going to detoxify on a cellular level. I've said this in many of my articles. In my opinion, going on the 100% raw food diet is like going on a lifelong fast. You're going to cleanse and cleanse pretty much for the rest of your life, dealing with the environmental toxins and just from our ancestors and their ancestors. I've been cleansing for 10 years now on this type of diet. So when you go on this type of diet and you have all these endogenous poisons running throughout your body, it's not going to be very easy for your body to become a more in-tune, receptive machine to that spiritual energy. And that's why colon hydrotherapy, in accordance with this, is the most tremendous combination out there. Nothing detoxifies the body more than colon hydrotherapy. There's nothing out there. Colon hydrotherapy is the most powerful thing somebody can do. It's profound. It's just as important as diet. It might even be more so, as crazy as that sounds. Dr. Fred Bishi has just slightly improved people's diets before, and they had a degenerative disease, and they were willing to do the colon hydrotherapy on a periodic basis, and they healed based off the colon cleansing, because he just slightly improved their diets. That's how powerful it is. So, doing a 100% raw food diet in conjunction with periodic colon cleansing, this is when your body becomes a more in tune, receptive machine to that spiritual energy. Yeah. And when you actually do this, it's something you actually feel. It's profound. There's a lot of yogi gurus out there, when they accept disciples in, if they're not willing to do a raw food diet in accordance with colon hydrotherapy, they won't accept them as disciples. It's because of the power behind this. It makes your body a more in-tune, receptive machine to that spiritual energy. It's absolutely profound. Whenever I get a colonic, I get transported to the spiritual bliss of just feeling energy. It's amazing. It's quite profound. Now, the more you leave out of your diet completely without exception, the more in tune you become to that spiritual energy. There's a couple of pioneers there that you have to buy their books and read them. It's not an option not to. They talk about their experiences and other stories. We'll start with Arnold Ehret. He has two books called Mucusless Diet Healing System and rational fasting. What he did was he's like the father of fasting in the raw foods movement, in my opinion. His books are only like $4 each, but he would do something called the superior fast. He would fast for like 20 to 30 days straight, and then he would break the fast, which would just be like eating something, and it would just go right through his body. All these toxins would sweep through his body. He would have so much energy, it's crazy. He could go on hikes, and then he would just continue his water fast and do another 30 days. And this process went on and on and on. And in his books, he says, all this enlightenment stuff, and it's just nonsense. He brought his diet to such a space to where he practically wasn't consuming any foods. He was saying that it just happens automatically. You just are there. You are just, that's why a lot of people say, I'm fasting for spiritual reasons. And I've taken my diet many times to eating very small amounts of food. It's just a vibrational journey. Hilton Hotima. You've got to read Hilton Hotima. He talks about breatharianism. And I know a lot of people are like, breatharianism, that's impossible, whatever. I'm not going to get into that right now. But let me tell you something in one of his books. And I actually talk about this in my book, Raw Spirit. He says that back in the day, okay, when we were first around on this planet, before all the pollution took place and before, we were eating massive amounts of junk food, he said we were pretty much breatharians and we lived off the air. And our digestive tract was dormant. It was actually used as an emergency measure, just in case we ran into a planet like this and we became so sensitive we need to toxify ourselves or something. So he says that our digestive organs were completely dormant, and our spiritual organs, which he said he read from the scriptures, even the Bible, and he kind of translated them. He says there's 5 spiritual organs, and all throughout the head, the cranial, the sinus cranial. And remember I was telling you about that third eye that I'm feeling all the time? That's crazy. This is like part of that. Whenever it's like the sinus cavity. When I do a neti pot and get rid of all obstruction in there, it's just even more crazy. And so what he said was, man started to eat food, and he started to use his digestive tract. And our spiritual organs started to degenerate. We used to have telepathic powers. We would communicate with each other. There'd be no need for TV or radios or anything like that. We had full access to everything. Our spiritual organs were there. And what happened was we started to eat food and use our digestive tract, and these spiritual organs started to go dormant. And so what he said was, you can reverse this process. He said that if you use your digestive tract less, that you can most likely regenerate your spiritual organs. And that's what I feel like was happening to me. I just started eating raw foods, the most least obstructive foods to the body, just pretty much water-based foods, using my digestive tract less. I did that psyllium bentonite cleanse that I told you about, which totally just cleaned out the mucoid plaque and other junk in my colon. My digestive tract doesn't need to work on that anymore. And then all of a sudden, my spiritual organs started to open. It's profound. And cleansing the colon in accordance with the raw food diet is the absolute way to make this happen. Unbelievable. Well, I wish you could just experience it for yourselves, and I'm sure many of you are. And let me just say a couple things. I'm not saying because I'm a raw food eater that I'm more spiritually evolved than any of you out there. I'm sure there's many people that are not 100% raw that are quote, quote, more spiritually evolved, if that exists, than I am. Now, what I'm saying is if those people were to go on a 100% raw food diet in accordance with colon hydrotherapy, their bodies